welcome back to my channel. This is going to be part 2 of my let's get up to date and where was I video. So yeah, let's just jump right into part 2. Okay, so Bev we left off, she was getting over some injuries. We were trying to decide what to do with her because her injuries weren't healing. We basically tried everything. So yeah, at this point, this was now this is 2016 we're at. So 2016, the winter, what am I trying to say, guys? So it's like January of 2016 by this point. The injury happened in July. So at this point, there was nothing more that we hadn't already tried. So I kind of just made the decision that if she was happier being a pasture pet and running around in the field, as long as it wasn't going to do any further damage, hopefully, then I would rather her be happy in the field as a pasture pet than have a chance at coming back into work and keeping her on stall rest where she was clearly not happy. This is a horse that needs to move. She doesn't necessarily need a job to be happy. She just needs to be able to be a horse, basically. And it's not so much about the fact that she has energy and needs to run around. It's just more that she mentally needs the stimulation of being in a field, being with other horses directly, rather than just in a paddock next to them. So I made the decision at this point that we were just going to put her out in the field. And, as long as nothing got worse, then I was okay with it. She could just be a pasture pet. At this point, she had done shows, she'd done a circuit. She hadn't shown as much as I had wanted her to, or at as big of shows. She obviously was showing big shows, but there was other ones that I would have loved for her to go to that we just did not have that opportunity for anymore. And because I did always want to breed her when her show career was over, but this wasn't supposed to be for a few more years at this point. So unfortunately here we were, and here's this nice mare that I had planned to breed, and she was basically a pasture pet at this point. So, shh. Why are you telling me to shush? You should shush. She was literally sitting there shh. So yeah, so for those of you that don't know, my barn actually does breeding. They breed mostly quarter horses and paints. And my mare is a thoroughbred, and I had always been looking at warm blood studs for her for the future because I'm really into the hunters and stuff, or was really into the hunters. But at this point I was kind of starting to realize that the English hunter and jumper world was really not where I wanted to be anymore, and I will always have a special place in my heart for the hunters. But I just wasn't agreeing with a lot of the methods that I see, and that's not to say that I disagree with everything. I don't think that hunters or jumpers is abusive by any measure. It's just I just wasn't agreeing with some of the things that I was seeing in the hunter ring and judges giving high points for. But so at this point I was kind of realizing that I wanted to be able to eventually go back to my roots, I guess, of quarter horse type stuff, and really my goal was for the future to be able to do hunter under saddle and hunt seat, hunter classes. So I really wanted to breed for a foal that was going to be capable and suitable for those type of classes. And I really did and still do. One of the studs in the barn, he's produced a lot of hunter under saddle type horses. So I did always have my eye on him, and there was others that I was looking at the same time that I also really liked. But I figured for the first time breeding, I really like this stud that's in the barn, and he's close by, his stud fee is right. We can do live cover and just, make things easy, especially for my first experience going through this. I of course want it to be easy, and I really like the sire. I really like what he produces. I've seen a lot of his foals from baby to adult, and I really love what he produces. I love his foals. He throws big, and just, you know, everything I wanted. So we ended up breeding to him. Bev caught the first time, and initially that foal was supposed to be sold. I basically wanted to get her first breeding out of the way because she was now 12 at this point. So I did want to get that first breeding out of the way, and I still had Angie at this time. She passed away a few months later, but yeah, so I still had Angie at this point. And the goal with this foal was that I wanted to be proud to stand behind the breeding, so I did want a hunt seat, hunter style type prospect, something that I would be proud to stand behind. And because this was a cross that I wanted to do again in the future, I did want to do the same cross for the first time, so that when I had a foal for this isn't making sense. I really wanted a foal for myself from the same stud, but I did want to see what the cross was like beforehand, and I want to be proud to stand behind that breeding. So I did want to, even though it was for sale, I did want to produce something that was a hunt seat prospect. Hopefully that made sense. So yeah, the goal with this foal was it was supposed to be sold. So it was listed in utero. So yeah, this foal was listed in utero. She was listed again after. I'm just gonna kind of jump ahead and then jump back again. Yeah, so she was then listed again after, and probably by the time she was like 2 to 3 months old, I stopped bumping up her ad, and not because she wasn't for sale. I was just, any interest I was getting was from people like thousands of miles away, and a lot of people weren't serious, it seemed. They would ask for more pictures and videos, and then wanted nothing beyond that, or I just didn't think that they were the suitable person for various reasons. So yeah, I was just getting a little bit discouraged, so I stopped bumping up her ad, and I did have a couple people contact me beyond that, but it always just went as far as, oh, can I see a video or more pictures, and then it just, you know how people are. People are looky-loos, basically, which, you know, I get it, it's fine, but it is discouraging. So yeah, I stopped bumping up her ad, and then it started getting to winter, and I was just like, okay, well, I'll take the winter off from actively trying to sell her, and at this point now I didn't have Ange anymore. So yeah, I took the winter off from trying to sell her. I was just like, okay, well, we'll relist her in spring. So this spring that's now almost over. And basically at this point I have no active plans to sell her in the near future. I'm not saying I never will, but the other thing that kind of swayed my decision to not actively continue selling her was that Bev was supposed to be rebred after this foal was born, but due to a lot of complications, which I'll get into in a couple minutes, that's another reason that she was not rebred. That's another reason that that's another reason that she was not for sale. So now we're just gonna jump back to Bev being bred. Yeah, she was bred. She caught the first time. Her pregnancy was absolutely textbook. So yeah, she waxed up 2 weeks prior to foaling, and we were like, this is it. But I did have those predictable test strips, and she was showing like a 1 or 2. I'm so sorry. Yeah, she was showing a 1 or 2, so we were like, okay, this is weird, I guess she's not ready. We put her in the foaling stall anyway, and like we didn't hook up the cameras or anything right away, but she went in the foaling stall. And it was just kind of a guessing game, and I was testing her on the test strips like every day or second day, and there was like never really any much change. And then all of a sudden she was 341 days, I think, and I'd been staying over, like I'd been staying in the barn like for like 5 days prior to this, and like now we had the cameras hooked up and I was checking her every hour. Basically I wasn't sleeping. So finally on day 341, I think it was, she finally tested like at a 4, almost a 5, and we definitely thought it was go time. Like she was acting like it was time. She was sweating, she had wax, she was fully bagged up, basically every sign, and we were like, okay, tonight's the night. And here's the other thing. Okay, Angie's birthday was May 4th, and after she passed away, I told Bev, So I think Bev's due date was on May 4th or May 3rd. Something like that. It depends like how many days you go by, because another calendar thing said like May 5th. But yeah, so anyway, Angie's birthday was May 4th. And I asked Bev to please wait until May 4th. Because Angie was now gone, and I was like, you know, I gotta have something to hang on to. So yeah, I told Bev, wait till the 4th. And the other thing was, the sire that Bev was bred to he's a dun. He's completely solid. I don't think he has any white on him. He might have like a couple white hairs on his forehead, but that was it. So yeah, this was now, she didn't have the foal that night. So then it got to, excuse my Hot Wheels, I'm all holding here. Life of a Mother. So it was now May 3rd. I'm gonna have a hell of a time editing this. Okay, so now we're at May 3rd of 2018. Bev is 342 days in foal, and she is streaming milk, and it was super hot that weekend. Or weekend, was it midweek? I think it was midweek. But it was super hot. And so again, I stayed in the barn that night, and I actually almost missed her foaling, but there was other people staying in the barn with their foals or waiting for their mares. So somebody else actually ended up waking me, like, because I had got up, I think it was like 1:30 in the morning or something like that. And I checked her, and Bev she was just standing there asleep, like, nothing weird going on, but I was like, okay. Like, I knew it was going to be that night, but she was just acting so normal that I was like, okay, maybe she's waiting till morning. So I go back to bed, and somebody runs in, like, not even a half hour later, and they're like, your mare's foaling. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was just in there. So I go out, and within like 5 minutes, water breaks, legs are out. My barn owner comes in the barn, because she has, like, obviously, like, a lot more experience foaling out a mare than I do. Like, she's foaled out, like, something like over 100 mares. So I had her come into the barn, and then I had my vet on speed dials. So, and Bev ended up trying to, it wasn't a red bag delivery, but we did see blood, which ended up being a really large hematoma, like inside her vaginal wall, I guess. So, yeah, so my barn owner saw blood, and we think what happened was that Bev she was trying to push Joe out against the wall, and like she essentially freaked out and tried to have her against the wall. So my barn owner had to go in there and pull the foal out standing up, because Bev was just not having a good time. So, and we saw blood, and we were thinking like red bag, and it wasn't, thank God. But so yeah, we got the foal out, and then I got in there, and I got to meet this foal that, okay, this whole time, as I was saying about the stud, he is completely solid in color. Bev does have stockings and a star, but this sire, even when bred to paint mares, he just tends to throw solo babies, and he tends to throw a lot of colts. I thought I was getting a solid black point done colt. So Joe comes out, and I could see that there's a blaze. I'm like, okay, where the hell did that come from? Like, the sire has a solid face, my mare has a star. Like, nobody in her pedigree close up has blazes, and same with him. So she comes out, she has a blaze, and she's red. She's red done. And I was like, okay, this is weird, this is cool, I'll take it. So, and then my barn owner goes and checks and says, so you're getting a colt, right? Because it was like dead positive I was getting a colt. And I'm like, yeah, like, not obviously she at the time, but I was like, yeah, I got a colt, right? And she's like, no, you have a filly. And I was like, what the heck? No. So then we got her out further, and Bev stood up, and we realized that she has a stocking higher than any of Bev's. Like, it goes all the way to her hock. And then she has another little stock on the back and another stock on the front too. So I was like, what the heck? Like, I don't know where any of this white came from. But we ended up doing some research after, and it turns out that Bev's dam line is known for throwing a lot of white. So I guess, I don't know if it's skip generation or what, but I got so lucky. Like, I got exactly what I wanted. and on May 3rd, the day before Angie's birthday. So yeah, I got exactly what I was wanting. Aside from the fact that I did want a black point done and I got red, but I'm okay with this. So yeah, I ended up naming her Jolie, and that's because I really wanted something to kind of remember Angie by. And one of my friends in the bar, she suggested Angelina Jolie. So we went with Jolie, even though anyone who meets her probably won't directly understand the reference, but we all know what it means, we all know where it came from, so there's that. So after Jolie was born, Bev actually started colicking quite badly that same night, and thankfully that was already there. And Jo, like, she stood up like within half an hour. It was like pretty much right away she was trying to stand. So she was standing and Bev was not. So we had a trailer ready to go. We were gonna take them to the vet and deal with things there, just because Jo hadn't even nursed yet. Like, Jo was doing great, she hadn't nursed yet because Bev was down and colicking and things weren't looking good for Bev. And obviously we did want Jo to get the colostrum and nurse like as soon as possible, but other than that, she was doing great. So the vet was there from like 2:30 in the morning until 8:30. So she was there for like 6 hours. So yeah, so Bev was colicking. We had her hooked up and everything. Finally, Bev took a poop and she finally started eating some hay, because we did keep the hay in the stall. Normally we would have pulled it, but in this case we did want her to have access to it when she's ready, because she wasn't even showing signs of being hungry, so which was really unusual for her. So we did keep the hay in the stall at this point. So yeah, eventually she did poop. She did start eating a little bit. We did pull her hay after that and keep her on mush, but you know, hay, she's a very food motivated, hay motivated horse, so we did keep it in there. She did take a few bites. And things were like starting to look better, but Jo still hadn't nursed because Bev just wanted to lay down basically. So we did end up having to milk Bev for the colostrum and bottle feed that to Jo. So she got her colostrum in like the time that you want them to have it. And I think by 10:30 that morning, Jo nursed for the first time. So she was born at like 2:30 in the morning and finally nursed at 10:30 in the morning. So it was like 8 hours before she nursed. So she did get colostrum before that. She did get milk before that, but before she was actually able to nurse off of her mother, it was 8 hours-ish. So yeah, things were great after that. And then when Jo was about, I think she was like 6 weeks old, maybe she was only like 2 weeks, I don't remember. Yeah, Bev colicked again, badly. And this is a horse that she has only ever colicked once before this, and it was super, super minor. Like, she basically shit before the vet even got there. So yeah, now Jo was like, we're just gonna say 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure she was 2 weeks. Bev had another bad colic, again, where we had to tube her, and it was not looking good, and eventually things were okay, but she stayed off of hay for 48 hours that time. I think what happened was that she was having her first heat, like her full heat. So yeah, Jo probably was about 2 weeks then. And we think that maybe just the pain from that, because she's very sensitive when it comes to pain. She reacts to things probably more than other horses would when they're in pain. Yeah, it's not that she's dramatic, she's just very sensitive, I think. So yeah, we think what happened was her full heat. We just think it was a very strong heat. So we think that kind of contributed to her colicking again. And then when I think another like 2-3 weeks went by, and she actually ended up with a uterine infection. We don't really have an explanation for it, but she had to be flushed and have saline fluids, I think, and some antibiotics like actually put into her uterus and then flushed out and put back in, and this whole long process. So that is basically why we did not rebreed her in 2018 last year, like we were originally planning to. And then we did plan to get an early start this year, but due to me keeping Jo, I haven't rebred her at this point. And not that I couldn't, if I wanted to, I could, but more so I would just want the foal sold in utero. So I think what I'm going to do next year, because I do want her bred again, and I eventually do want another one for myself from her, especially if I do end up selling Joe at some point. I do want another one from her for myself. But regardless, I do want her bred again, even if the next one is sold or if Joe is kept or sold. Either way, yeah. So what I will do next year is post a breeding lease ad for her, and ideally she would stay on property for this. I have no interest in having her go off property for breeding at this point. But if somebody came along and wanted to do it in barn, then that would be awesome. And if not, then maybe I would consider off property. I don't know. So as for Joe, she is 14.2 right now. She just turned 1 a couple weeks ago. It's really weird to me because she was this, like, you don't notice the change day by day, but then you look back and it's like, holy crap, like this is turning into a little horse now. No, she wasn't a horse before, but she's just more horse-like at a year old. If that makes sense. Like her face is like looking like a real horse now, and she's got a big quarter horse booty, and she's just amazing. I'm so happy with her. And like she does have baby moments, obviously, where she's a little shithead, but that's just normal, as to be expected. And overall, she is very chill. She's very quiet. She's very much like, do whatever you want with me. Like I dressed her up in a feather boa for her birthday and let her run around and take pictures. Like she just doesn't care. Like any of my other horses are like, the hell are you doing? Like I don't want that on me. I don't want these Christmas antlers on me for Christmas photos. But Joe is just like, whatever, I don't care. She doesn't question anything. So I am really happy with her. So far it's looking like she's gonna stay with me, but we'll see what the future holds. I can't guarantee that she's going to stay with me forever, but at this point I have no plans to sell her. So we're actually going to be lunging her for the first time in the next week or two. I know some people are against that at a year old, but honestly we're going to be doing it in a large area. We won't be doing any tight circles or anything. It'll just be like a 10-minute lunge, just to kind of get her used to that. I'm a firm believer that people should, I mean, everyone's situation is different, everyone's horse is different, but provided the stars align, I am a firm believer that you should get them haltered right away and practice on leading with the mare. Like we use a butt rope for ours, but I am a firm believer that you should get those things started as early as possible. Get them started on picking up their feet, get them started at yielding to pressure and grooming and everything else, and just like touching them all over and getting them used to you doing everything. Obviously that doesn't mean like training like in hand or on a lunge like from the get-go. You do that gradually as they get older. But yeah, so I am a firm believer that you do need to ideally be doing all those things. So I still know a lot of people are probably against lunging at 1, but this would be once a week, once every 2 weeks for about 10 minutes at a time, just lightly getting her used to it, basically. Not an actual work session. I'm not expecting anything of her. I'm not expecting her to know aids or commands at this point. Nothing other than moving forward on a lunge line right now. And I am going to be getting a stir stable for her. Again, we won't be using it right away. It's just more to put it on her in the stall and get her used to having something on her. So I know that we've got plenty of time. I definitely will not be rushing anything. This will be something that we're doing every week or two over the summer, and we'll see what winter brings. She'll probably have a long break over the winter, and then we'll come back to it again in her 2-year-old year. You know, and just build from there. So I'm definitely not for rushing a horse. I don't plan to sit on her until she's at least 3. And if she's looking gangly and gawky at 3, then we'll wait. And even when I do start a horse at 3, it is having somebody lead me around on them. We won't be going off on our own. We won't be trotting, cantering. Unfortunately, I know some local trainers and non-local ones who expect them to be cantering around, jumping horses at like 2.6 and 2.9 and competing them by the time they're 4. And I get that people do it. I get that those horses are probably fine, but it's not something that I agree with. So Joe won't be doing any of that until she's a lot older. So for those of you thinking that I'm suddenly rushing her training at 1 year old, that is totally so far from the truth and what's going on here. But yeah, so for those of you who are interested in following not just Joe's journey, but Bev's, is there anything I'll touch on in a sec, continue to watch my videos. I will be posting a couple videos of what Bev did, clips of her life from the past 5-6 years. I'll be posting that probably next. But yeah, for those of you who are interested in following Joe's training, keep watching. I will have videos of her first lunge session, second lunge session. I will be posting those. Yeah, but yeah, as for Bev, what she's doing now, she is essentially a pasture pet. Her, like I said earlier, or in the last bit, I'm okay with her being a pasture pet. She's not going to be sold. She is staying with me until she dies. So yeah, she has been ridden maybe 6 times since January, and just like super light rides with the same friend trainer who was riding her before she went on the first lease. And Bev is actually now the friend trainer's 12-year-old stepdaughter. Bev is actually doing lunge line lessons for her, which is going great. They're just kind of walking around for the most part, but Bev is amazing for that. So she's a great kids horse, and that's my goal, is that one day she will be Eliza's first horse, despite being a massive 17.3. She's a very gentle giant, so my goal is that hopefully she'll be Eliza's horse one day. But yeah, that's what Bev's doing now. She's just kind of chilling for the most part. She's ridden once every few weeks, and that's about it. She has also started head shaking. I won't go into too much detail about this, but I probably will post a video at some point about head shaking syndrome. It does kind of differ from horse to horse, but basically, unless there's something causing their head shaking, like ear mites, or pain from their bit, or needing their teeth done, or something like that, it's actually classified as head shaking syndrome, which some people say it's neurological, some people say it's nerve, some people say it's both. So basically it's idiopathic head shaking when there is no other real root cause for it. So that's what we're dealing with Bev. This did kind of start years ago when I first got her, but it was just something that she did in the field, and it was just for a couple months of the year, but it has now progressed to more than that. So that's something that we're kind of going through and dealing with right now as well. Again, I'll touch more on that in a different video, but yeah, that's another reason that she's not ridden as much right now, not only due to her past injuries and the fact that she is mostly retired, but also due to that. So yeah, we're currently going through that, but otherwise she is doing great. I always say that she's pretty much like an old horse. Like, she's only 13, but I don't know, she's on so many supplements. She's got arthritis, she has all these old injuries, she's dealing with these neurological conditions, like, and thank God, like, none of this stuff is stuff, like in her case, that'll be passed on to foals. Like, none of it's genetic, none of it will have her foals like predisposed to this. Like in her case, I can't speak for every horse out there obviously who has conditions like this or is dealing with things like this, but thankfully in her case that's not the case. So yeah, she's doing good though. She's my old mare who's only 13, but she always reminds me of like a 20 or 30-year-old brood mare, and thankfully she'll just always be with me, and she's never going anywhere. So yeah, that is that. There's probably a ton of stuff that I didn't touch on in this video that, there's a lot to fill in 5-6 years worth, but yeah, this is kind of the gist of things, and there will be more videos coming. I hope you guys have at least enjoyed my little update and get up to speed here. And yeah, if you guys are returning viewers, thank you so much for sticking around. And if you are new, I hope you guys stick around. Click the little bell below to get a notification when I post my next video. Hopefully I'll be posting the next one pretty soon here. So I will see you guys in my next video.